the easiest thing and the hardest thing is working with family, because you come with all of the past prejudices and experiences of growing up for 20 years, and you're not allowed to leave any of that behind because they know you.
This is Jesse Ray with the Growth House Podcast. I am here with Cady Gokey, president of Purely Sedona. Cady, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. So I want to start off just by saying, first of all, thank you so much. Growth House, we're a startup. We help entrepreneurs get started with their journey. We have a podcast, give a lot of away free information, but then we also have mastermind events that we do in retreats. And you guys were one of our sponsors for Immersion Season 2. So big shout out to you and your team. I just want to say thank you, first of all.
Most welcome. Happy to help.
And then I would be drinking Purely Sedona right now, but I'm in Mexico, so it's gonna have to do with the glass with water in the cup. So
you're not in Mexico yet, unfortunately.
All right, soon. You guys have you have a lot of expansion going on.
We do, yes.
So what I want to start with, you have an amazing story. I listened to a podcast of yours recently, so I'm excited to dive in. But what's something that most people don't know about you, Cady, as just like a person? What's something fun that you can share with our audience?
Well, I figure skated for 15 years. So.
Figure skated for 15 years?
Yes.
How far did you go, like, in the figure skating world?
So I don't know if you know anything about it. There's like dance and moves and like jumps and stuff. And I didn't go that high in jumps. I could land like doubles, but I could never do triples. And then I got to the top of moves and to almost the top of the dance one. So
that's amazing. And that was like through college or high school?
Through high school. I stopped in college.
And then from my understanding, you grew up in North Dakota. Is that right?
Yes.
It's something fun that I heard you say was that one of your goals and dreams is to have like a hedge or cornfield maze on one of your properties. I was like, that's awesome. That would be so fun to have that.
We fingers crossed. We have a property in Sedona that the zoning's all funny on. So eventually it will be a hedge maze. Just wait.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I can't picture a hedge maze in Sedona. That would definitely like stand out. That would be incredible.
There's weirder things in Sedona, you know? Like
that's true. Sedona is a magical place. Yeah. Well, I want to start with just kind of giving our audience kind of a quick overview. Like, where is Sedona, like, size-wise right now? Where are you guys located? I'll just say, like, our people at Immersion absolutely loved your water.
Oh, good.
Like, we had plastic and glass, so we have both different variations. We haven't had the sparkling yet, so I'm excited to try the sparkling. But people were just like, wow, this water is so smooth, so good. And me personally, you know, when I step into a nice car or put on a nice suit, you know, you just feel good. Mm-hmm. When I'm drinking that water, I swear I have a couple more zeros to my bank account. I just feel good when I'm drinking that water. So the water is amazing. Go guys, go look it up, Purely Sedona. But for you, Cady, just kind of tell us, what does it look like right now running Purely Sedona as the president? How big are you guys? What stores are you in?
I don't know how big we are is hard to say, because in the grand scheme of beverages, we're tiny. We're bigger than we were, though. So we are predominantly in California and Arizona, but we have distributors in Michigan. We have distributors in North Dakota. We have distributors in we have some customers in Hawaii. So we're in the Foodlands and Whole Foods out in Hawaii. We are in Texas. We just got into HEB. We are in the mountain region of Whole Foods. So that means like Kansas City, up to Omaha, and down into, New Mexico, Colorado. We just expanded into Texas. That's our newest big one. So that's pretty cool.
That's huge. That's amazing. That's so exciting. So where can people go purchase it if they're like, oh my gosh, I'm already hearing about this water. I got to go try it.
Quick Trip. So we actually just launched. We have a 2 for $5, 1.5 liter deal in Quick Trip. And we need to prove the volume. So everybody needs to go buy 4 bottles so that we stay in Quick Trip. Please.
Let's go.
But
and then Whole Foods was another one. Is that right?
We're in Whole Foods, Sprouts, in Arizona. Okay, well, I'll just start at the beginning. Regionally, we're in the California and mountain region of Whole Foods. So that's going to be California, not Northern California, so Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, up and over kind of area. Sprouts, we are just in Arizona and maybe California, but we're working on expanding that. Uh, Quick Trip, we just landed in the Phoenix and Tucson areas. So Bristol Farms, Jansen's, Erewhon, Jimbo's, all those in California chains. Arizona, we have Fry's, we have Sprouts, we have Whole Foods, we have Bashas, we have AJ's, we have so most we're getting out there. We're a little bit light in convenience, so this Quick Trip landing. We're also in the karaoke convenience stores, but so this Quick Trip is a big deal for us. It's kind of our first convenience customer. Um, yeah, it's big, so we're excited. And then a lot of the restaurants and resorts around town carry us because they like the glass on the table experience.
That's amazing. Congrats on
Thank
that.
you.
And so before we step back and be like, how did this journey even start and how did you get involved with Purely Sedona? I want to actually break it down. And I tell people like I'm on a golden retriever level, maybe fifth grade level when it comes to science.
Mm-hmm.
Quick story, even in college, they're like, Jesse, you need to take a science class. And I was like, all right, what's the easiest one? They're like, well, you can't like not pass bird watching. So take that class. And I graduated all A's and B's. And the one class where I got a D that I begged my professor to give me a C to pass was bird watching. So with that being said, let's like break this down very simply. The science behind water, influencers, celebrities, everyone's like showing us like the difference between regular tap water, normal bottled water, maybe a Costco water, and then these, higher premium waters like yours.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference and why should people like really care about water?
So the difference is obviously if you drink a lot of water, it matters what you put in your body. Um, if you go back 60 years or 70, I think it was early 40s, maybe early 30s, 1930s, they started adding chlorine to drinking water, which was it expanded the human life by about 20 years because all of your waterborne illnesses stopped. So, yeah, so in that way, you just really need clean water. I mean, 2,000 years ago, people didn't even drink water. They drank alcohol because the water, they just couldn't trust it to not make them sick. So the biggest thing is that you have clean water. And that just requires lots of testing and treatment. So if you have an issue with the water, there's treatments you can apply to make it clean. But ideally, you don't want a source that's contaminated with anything. So then your sources are where the big differentiation in bottled water comes. So you either have a municipal source, which is going to be like city water, and that's usually going to turn into either purified water. They're just going to run it through purified filters, or it's going to turn into some of your alkaline waters, where they actually add kind of a solution of different minerals and salts back to the water to make it alkaline or to make it electrolytes or whatever so it's just a solution that they add back after they've stripped the water of everything. Next you're going into, so then you have artesian well water and spring water. And artesian well water means that the water it's natural at the bottom, or it's naturally the water that you're using, but you had to dig a well to dig it. So it wasn't flowing to the surface naturally. Spring water is the exact same as artesian well water, except that it flows to the surface naturally. And then to go one step further, you get the carbonated water, and that is just water with CO2 added. Or they're like Perrier, I'm told, and I would love to see how this actually works. Perrier comes out of the ground bubbling. They capture the bubbles, purify both, and then put them back together again. So that's why Perrier is sparkling water, because it's apparently naturally sparkling water.
Interesting. Okay, that was so good to have that breakdown. One other thing that I see a lot people talk about is like pH levels.
Okay.
So what does that mean real quick? And then we'll dive into kind of like the journey, how it started.
So pH levels are just obviously the acidity level of your water. The human body, I think, actually, I shouldn't answer that question. I have no idea what the human body is, but I know coffee is around 4. Our water is around 8. And so basically, within that range, you kind of want to, drink things. so it's hard to say. There are no FDA approved benefits to alkaline water. So you can't make any claims regarding what they do for you. They do help with acid reflux if you have an acidic stomach, or with your teeth, like drinking. It's like drinking coffee versus, so more alkaline water isn't going to wear on your teeth as much. But other than that, there's not really any proven scientific benefits of alkaline versus non-alkaline water.
Got it. Okay, so taking a step back, your dad, I believe, was like a franchisee owner of a bottling company with Pepsi. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, so was there like an entrepreneurial like spirit within the family already, or was that just like your dad just kind of got put into a position where he was able to own a franchise? I want to hear kind of about that beginning and
Um,
you growing up.
I think my dad got it from his grandfather, or I think my dad's father got it from my grandfather. So I think, and then I mean, my grandpa did a whole bunch of things. He ran insurance. They were all depression babies, So like they had like 8 different jobs, and they did this and that, and there was farmland and this and so they kind of did a bunch of things. They had 4 kids. My dad's the only one that went into business, but of him, 3 of my siblings have gone into business. So I think it was just kind of, we did a lot of business as a family. Like we used to use all of the meetings as family vacations. And so he'd have a meeting in Vegas, and then we'd extend for 3 days, or he'd have a meeting. Well, they used to have awesome meetings where we went to Cabo one year, we went to Key West. So we spent a lot of time and he always made us go to the big presentations, if it wasn't like a thing. Yeah. So like you kind of got educated along the way, and you get excited about it, and you feel like you know it. And so it's just kind of natural to go into it.
That's awesome. And then opportunity came across where you were able to potentially buy a bottling company. Walk me through,
Uh,
and then how you
yeah.
got involved.
So my dad, he's a distributor now. The bottling system is not quite what it was, but so he's a distributor now. And he was looking to purchase a beer franchise in Williston, North Dakota. And that deal fell through. But the guy selling that said, well, I don't want to sell you the beer company, but I have this water company in Arizona. And at the time, I was getting a mechanical engineering degree in North Dakota. And I had already graduated college, and I was going back to do because I wanted to design things. And I really was not liking the program. It was more math and less design. And so my dad offered it to my sister, and she was like, I don't really want to go do that. And he's like, well, what about you? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so I moved down here and just kind of went with it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, we have to talk about, because I know a lot of people who are starting off, they have imposter syndrome, right? Like, what am I doing? I've started this business. I don't know anything about business, or X, Y, Z. We have all these fears and thoughts in our head. What was you had to have something? Was there anything that you're like, what am I doing, or were you just like, I got this?
No, I mean, I knew that there was a lot for me to learn. It was just how quickly you can learn, and the best way to learn is just the first day. I think that the lady who was running the company stayed on for about 12 months to help the transition. And then she left. And so I was in charge like that. And the first day or the first week after she had quit, we found charcoal floating in the water, like finished product water. So we had to do an entire line audit, beginning to end, to figure out where there was, a failure in the system. And so that was on my first week alone as president. And so it was just, calling in sources and this and that. And we're fortunate that a lot of the people who helped run our Pepsi bottling facility up in North Dakota, they stayed on with us. They just transitioned into other parts, but they still had a lot of bottling experience. So we had 2 or 3 of them come down and help us out down here and try and figure everything out initially. So yeah, no, so I mean, it's really just getting thrown into it. You obviously always have imposter syndrome. The biggest issue is when people, like, everybody wants to sell you something, and everybody knows everything. And when you're young, you think, oh my gosh, I need to learn everything. And then you start being like, no, this person doesn't actually know what they're talking about. And so like gaining that confidence to be like, no, I know my stuff. I think that just takes time. Yeah.
For sure. Where was the company when you guys bought it? Like
in Phoenix.
maybe a revenue number or
Oh,
just one location,
um,
one spot in
it
the
was
country in Phoenix?
it's in Phoenix. It was probably doing 50% of what it was doing now in sales. So half of it. It did not have the brand. We launched the brand. We were in half the footprint size of the building. So we've about doubled.
That's amazing. And then what was President Cady comes in? She obviously has to put some fires out real quick. But once those fires were put out, what was like the first order of business? Like, we got to change this.
Um, I mean, there was a lot we had to change, and it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it was the first thing I wanted to do was start the brand, so I kind of just did that. I got in a little bit of trouble because we were like, no, we need to make money at this, and this, and then do it. And I just kind of did it. So we had to play catch up for a while. But it turned out to be the right move because the development process took so long that by the time we got to market, we were right on schedule. But initially, that's what I wanted to do. I thought that there was a real opportunity because the water quality was so great. And so that's really where I felt I wanted to spend my time.
And I think it shows like the packaging, the branding, like it's very luxury. Like I said, you feel good when you're drinking, when you have it in your hand, and when you show someone, they're like, "That's water." Like actually, even for example, we had like probiotic sponsor and like alcohol and wine. The waters were the most popular thing. They're like, "I want the water. Give me another Sedona." So that just shows you like I think branding is so important, and also, obviously also because it tastes amazing. But for your situation as a president, what is the importance of packaging and branding, and why did you see that as like the first order of business that you wanted to even sacrifice some quick dollars to focus on that?
Um, I mean, I think people, as much as they like to say they're not affected by branding, I think they obviously are. And the packaging that it was in prior just did not convey the quality of the water because we looked at the water quality and we compared it with a bunch of other brands and we feel like it's it's excellent water. It's very good water. It tastes good. It's there's no issues with it coming out of the ground. It's very good source, and so we just thought that the standard bottle didn't really make it stand out. We saw that there was kind of an opportunity in glass that no one domestically was really making it. And so we just thought, you know, well, I mean, I know how important packaging is. People are drawn to things on the shelf because they are. You have to be a really good product, like make something that tastes distinctive to just have no packaging. And unfortunately, a lot of people water tastes the same.
So true. So if someone was listening right now, they're like, all right, yes, I want to elevate my brand or packaging, just like in general. What would you do that was like, did you make it more simple? Did you hire a team to make like the design more sleek? Like, what's something that you did that maybe someone else would be like, oh, that sparks the idea that I need to do for my company? Like maybe when you see luxury brands, including like yours, I would almost consider it like a luxury water. What
I guess
what stands out to you?
I guess the biggest thing we did is I looked on the internet and I probably found 1,000 different bottles of water, and I put them all up on the wall. And then I said, okay, we have to do something different. And so that was really like, okay, like how do we make ourselves distinctive when there are this many competitors?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So, from my understanding, used to basically like, for example, I think the Princess was one of the examples I heard. You would like supply them their water in their own kind of custom
Mm-hmm.
packaging, but then now you moved away from doing that, or you do that in addition to also having your
In
own
addition
water
to,
that you sell. Okay, got it. And then would that be considered like white labeling? I'm just trying to understand the
yeah,
industry a little bit
private
more, and for
labeling.
people listening, private
Mm-hmm.
labeling. Got it. And then what's the most, because when you hear like not too many people like buy water companies. So profitability wise, does it make more sense to start there, like to do private label, or to get into restaurants or sell D2C, direct to consumers?
I would not get into manufacturing unless you have a lot of money. Like there's no way around it. If you're co-packing, you might it's an entirely different business than what I've done because everything that we're done is based so much on our overhead costs. Um, so I don't really know that it would be the same. You know what I mean? Like I don't recommend going out and buy. Well, it's a double sided coin. You absolutely should own your own manufacturing if you want to scale and capture all the benefit of it. At the same time, if you cannot own your manufacturing, you're way ahead because it's extraordinarily expensive to manufacture and just the raw materials and all of that. If you don't have to manage that, it's a big time saver and money saver.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what's the overhead? What's the biggest cost in overhead?
Usually labor,
Yeah, labor.
labor and rent.
I'm just yeah, because it's fascinating to me because a
And
lot of
then obviously
the
we had to
business owners,
buy we had to buy all the equipment, and then you have to, you know what I mean. So that's upfront capital
yeah,
that you obviously get it back over time, but or it depreciates over time. But at the same time, it's if something goes wrong, it's like it's like owning a BMW. If something goes wrong, it doesn't cost $200 to fix; it costs $800 to fix. Like
right, right.
everything's specialized, everything's automated. You have to have, very well technical people, you have to have skilled people, you have to have responsible people. So and they
And we
all have
started
to
this
show
in
up at the same
2013.
time and get along. And
There's a lot of there's a lot of variables, a
yeah.
lot of moving pieces. Two questions. We'll start here. When you bought the business, family business, so when you're a family and you bought the business and you took it over, what what did that look like? Was there a huge upfront cost? And then, how'd you get funding? Was it just backed by the businesses already having cash flow, or did you have to raise additional money?
uh no. uh we I think we had cash because we had sold something else and we're looking for something to buy and decided to buy this one. I think it was. I mean, it wasn't a huge purchase. We probably spent more fixing it up than we did purchasing it.
Right. And have you had to raise private capital or anything like that?
No, we're self-funded at the moment, but
That's huge.
well, yes, it's huge. We probably should find outside capital. We're reluctant to give up control.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's definitely hard. Well, the difference, actually, let me ask you this because we mentioned like your team and labor. That's a really, big part of overhead. What does your team look like to, have a company on this scale within your industry? What does that team look like? How big is it?
Oh, I mean, we're tiny if compared to the industry. We have probably 20 people in the whole company. Three drivers, 12 or 13 on the line, an office lady, sales guys, and my general manager. So we're tiny.
Yeah. And then the difference between, I would say like almost like a retail customer, or maybe you wouldn't consider a retail customer, but someone like a Whole Foods versus going more of that direct to consumer route. I know a lot of companies, especially once the pandemic hit and like certain things happened in the world, a lot of companies switched, especially products, switched to online marketing direct to consumers. Is that something you've heavily focused on, or do you see more profit and it makes more sense to focus on the bigger clients?
So our biggest issue is that beverages are heavy. We're in glass. It's hard to ship. So we offer some direct to customer on volume orders in town locally, and we'll deliver it. I believe you can have a case shipped within Arizona. We don't ship because outside of Arizona, it's two zones, and you have to start moving your distribution centers around. So we just really haven't solved that last mile with direct to consumer. I would love to find like a home and office delivery driver who's already delivering to people's homes versus just Amazon because one case at a time and $40 of shipping is kind of it's not it does I mean the consumer might like it but from a business standpoint it's not really worth the time to spend on it.
Hmm. That makes sense. Give me an example of like a dream customer or someone that you're like, man, if we can get into there, that's like the next step.
Costco.
Because I'll tell you, was Costco?
Yeah.
Okay. Katie, I just want to let you know, like, we have a lot of people like this started out as a lot of startup entrepreneurs, people new in business, but then as we've grown over the last couple of years, we've now attracted 8 and 9 figure, companies and entrepreneurs who want to come back, serve, and give back to these people just starting out.
Yeah.
So you don't ever know who's going to listen to this. So if you need to connect in Costco, it might just happen from this podcast, Katie. So I just want to put
It'll
that
be
out there.
sweet. We'll take it.
All
Never say
right. So
no to
Costco's
opportunity.
it. There you go. I love it. So growth and expansion. What does that look like? I know you're growing right now.
Are
What does
growing.
this look like in the next 3 to 5 years?
We're going to grow. No, we kind of have a slow plan, but it's something we need to discuss further. It just depends on the trajectory. Right now, the trajectory is manageable. It could take off quite quickly, in which case we have to move our facility, we have to hire more people, there's a lot we would have to do. So it's kind of at that point where we have to decide. Hopefully we keep growing. Hopefully we keep growing without needing to make too many large investments, machinery wise. So that's my
What would that look like? Growing without needing too many investments, without giving up ownership, raising capital. What does that look like? Just getting in, like, let's say a Costco, or
yeah.
getting into more large
Yeah, I think
stores. That would be kind of the.
we can fill. So we're probably at 40% capacity. So we could do another
Mm-hmm.
40%. We'd have to hire people, but that's just variable overhead, and so it would, we would be significantly more successful with about a couple more large customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like one more shift a day would be great.
One more shift a day, get Costco on board, and this thing's rolling.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
it. I love it. Katie, personally, what like pushes you? People always have different answers to this. What drives you to keep going, keep wanting to grow this thing?
It's fun. I don't. Yeah, it's a tough thing. At this point, I have to prove my brother wrong because he didn't think this was a good idea. So that's a driver. And just I like the idea that I've made something that like I created something and well, I didn't create it, but I helped create something and put it out there, and that like it's there because I was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That is amazing. And like, I think also not just creating something, but you're kind of the genius behind this whole brand and the packaging and the marketing. So
One of
I
the
think that's extra
geniuses. It was a
special.
collaborative effort. Could never.
There you go. You're too helpful. I love it. Let me ask you this, because on social media, everyone shows highlights, right? Like me, I'm traveling for the last 3 months all over Europe, still working, but I show off, all the fun stuff, and I try to be as authentic as possible. When stuff goes wrong, I'm like, hey guys, yes, it is great, but there is stuff that happens. You do have to deal with it. That's life. No one's life is perfect. Have you ever been on the verge of, let's say, like, you know what? We're 3 years in. We just now maybe got the packaging. This is taking forever. Have you ever been on the verge of quitting? And then what kind of made you be like, you know what? No, I'm going to stick through this.
I mean, I think the hardest thing is working with family. Like the easiest thing and the hardest thing is working with family because you come with all of the past prejudices and experiences of growing up for 20 years, and you're not allowed to leave any of that behind because they know you. And so you have, you know what I mean? Like you have something you did 20 years ago held over your head, or why you're unreliable now because of some, you know what I mean? Or you treated like you're 20 even though you're not anymore. And so I think, and it's frustrating because you can't, you know what I mean? Like you have to go the next day and you have to like them still. You don't want to completely ruin a family relationship. And so you just have to take time, step away and be like, okay, how do you deal with this? And it's a lot of maneuvering around people based on, I want to say egos, moving around personalities and egos and making sure everyone feels like they've contributed. But it's definitely a challenge. I would say that that's probably the closest I've come is just being frustrated working with my family. I've never disliked the job. I have thought about not working for them anymore. But at the end of the day, I like working for them. It can be frustrating, but it's also obviously a blessing.
I think that's such a good point, and I think it's not even like it's more than just like family. Sometimes with a lot of people too, because you mentioned like growing up with someone, and they don't accept you for the new person that you've changed into.
Yeah.
And this is something that we talk about a lot. Our motto for the Growth House is you become who you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, and a lot of times, and I talk about it because what I did, you got to leave your hometown sometimes. And that means probably leaving those friends that see you as that person, maybe see me as a person that was, doing music, getting drinking a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had that notion, oh, that's Jesse. It's like, actually, no,
Well, that's
that's
not
not who I am
my
anymore.
experience.
We exactly, we evolve, we change. We're not the same people that we were growing up, but a lot of people want to hold on to that.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that association, who you're around is so important. And I can't imagine, because I've never worked with family personally, but having those people that have seen you since like everything you've done throughout your whole life.
Yep. Exactly.
When you moved to Arizona, because you're not from Arizona, I think you moved here, what, like 2013
Yep.
ish, when you guys bought the company? Were you like conscious, like, okay, I need to create a little community of friends out here that are entrepreneurs? Or were you just like, hey, I'm going to do this solo, I'm going to figure this thing out?
Probably the second one. I did go to business school here, so I met some people that way. Um, but a lot of the people I worked with, I have made relationships with them. Like we inherited a lot of relationships, so a lot of it was just, becoming familiar with the business and those relationships.
What advice would you give to someone who is on that verge of like, man, I don't know if it's worth it? Like what like I'm curious, Katie, like what kept you going? Because you said like it can be hard, and like I can't imagine working with family. So what was it? If you have some advice to someone's like, things aren't going well, it's been, people want instant gratification, instant success. It's been 6 months and I'm
Well,
not doing good.
well, patience. I mean, instant gratification in business is stock markets and geniuses. Like it's never going to happen. It takes a lot of work. They say most startups take 7 years to become profitable. We took 9 or 10. So I mean, it's been a long, long haul. It's been constant justifying of expenses and justifying of choices and trimming down and revamping and trying new things. And you just have to like you can't let your failures stop you. Like everyone makes mistakes. Like unless if you make lots of mistakes, maybe you're beyond your level of competence. But everybody makes mistakes, and like you have to move on from them. If you learn from, you have to learn from them, and you have to just keep trying new things. And you can't don't listen to other people. Other people are always going to tell you what's wrong. Everyone's a critic, no one's a fan. So like look at what you've done, and if you know and you believe what you're doing, like you have to believe it because everyone else is just going to tell you no or why not.
Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
Exactly.
That's a quote that I heard the other day, and I'm like, wow. Anyone who has a nasty comment on social media or whatever, it's like, look at their page. What are they doing with their life? Probably not
Well,
much. So why are you listening to those type of
and
people?
not just that, but the people who have spent the time learning these things and educating them themselves don't then decide to use that education to troll people online. Like the people, you know what I mean? Like unless it's an academic or an opinion in a newspaper, it's probably not someone who has done the necessary research.
Absolutely. It seems like Purely Sedona has emphasis and importance of supporting local. I
Yes.
mean, we at the Growth House really believe in, companies, things that are here in the U.S. We want to support that even more so if it's local. You guys, Sedona, I think your bottling plant is in Phoenix. Like we love that, and we want to support local as well. What's your thoughts about the importance of supporting here locally in Arizona?
I mean, I love it. I think shipping is obviously one of the most expensive things or one of the most expensive parts of costs these days. So not having to ship things farther, using people locally, not having to import things, I think is important for the state. I mean, I think local economy. I personally love like artisan and homemade and homegrown and farmers markets and home baked and that sort of thing. So is my preference in general for that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the local community in Arizona is great. I think they're very supportive of one another, and I think they all. I don't know. It's you live here for a summer, and you kind of all feel like you deserve to help each other. It's you survive the heat, and it's like, okay, we all got this. We know what's up.
That's so true. And you don't know this about me, but I might leave for the summers.
Really,
Yeah,
all of
I
them,
did one
the
summer,
whole of it.
two thirds. So that's kind of like my thing is I came here a few years ago and I survived one summer, and then the next summer I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Puerto Rico and I'm gonna go to a couple different countries after Puerto Rico, and then this summer I've been in Europe and then Brazil and now Mexico. I'm like, hey, let me know when it's back under like 120. I'll come
You didn't
back.
miss a good one. It's been brutal this summer.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I see notifications that like, hey Jesse, your umbrella is in someone else's pool. I'm like, oh great. Like shout out to the monsoons that we have. So Katie, what is the best way people can reach out to you, whether it's want to learn more about products, maybe they're like, oh my gosh, I love the product, I love your story, I want to get you on, our podcast or, our magazine or publication, whatever. What's the best way people can reach out to you?
Probably our info line or SLE Entertainment. They cover our PR for us.
And they're
They
awesome.
are
They're quick to respond. I've loved working with them. So shout out
SLE,
SLE,
Steve Levine Entertainment.
Steve Levine Entertainment. Shout them out. And then, so before anyone reaches out to you, Growth House, we're a community of go givers, meaning we want to provide value ever before we ever ask for something. And if anyone names drop Growth House or Jesse when they talk to you and they say, hey, I want 15 minutes to pick your brain, I don't know them and they're banned from our community. So with that, with that being said, how can someone add value to you, whether it's, hey, go support us on Instagram, hey, go support this or that, something little, or it could be something big like, hey, we are probably looking to raise capital, so if you're someone that's interested in this industry, I would love to connect with you. What's something that someone can provide value when they are reaching out?
I mean, anything. We love opportunities. We've had some fun collaborations. We've had some people who just want, in exchange for product, they'll do, we get to have the product at their events and they'll do shout outs for us or they'll help with, you know what I mean? It's just been some like collaborative brand experiences. Um, I mean, we get a lot of interest about venture capital. We haven't really taken it seriously yet. It's something we should probably start to take seriously, but it's kind of overwhelming to me. So, uh,
It is a whole nother beast
yeah,
and monster, and a lot of sharks in the water, so you definitely have to be
yeah,
aligned with the right people who have done it before and not just throw yourself out there, hey, we'll take money.
exactly.
Well, Katie, this has been fun. I appreciate you again for supporting us, Growth House, our community. Like I said, everyone loved the water. If someone wants to buy it directly, can they order online, or is it mostly go to, was it
I was gonna
Quick
say they
Trip,
can order
Whole
online
Foods?
as long as they go to
Okay,
Quick Trip first and buy at least 2 bottles because we have to volume.
let's go.
Now they
Okay,
can order online, or if they need more than if they want a larger quantity and they're local, they can call our offices and we can set them up with stuff, a delivery.
amazing. I appreciate you so much. Like I said, our motto is you become who you surround yourself with. And it's an honor to hang out with you for the last 40 minutes. And I'm excited to put this podcast out. I know a lot of people are going to learn from it and want to reach out and then also just try the water.
All right, great. Thank you so much.